Hi, and welcome to the podcast for Solomon Staircase Masonic Lodge number 357, where we talk about all things related with Freemasonry, including Hermetic teachings, philosophy, reason, spirituality, and much more. We're located in Buena Park, Southern California. Tune in as we continue to update our podcast with informative talks and articles for Masons worldwide and those who would like to inquire within.
Thank you for downloading this episode of our podcast. Freemasonry and politics. Yes, a touchy subject for the Lodge, but that is the theme of our July 2023 Trestle Board. Greetings from the East. We are correctly told that the discussion of religion and politics is forbidden in the Lodge. The reason why is so obvious that the phrase has become axiomatic, such that any discussion of them could automatically lead to sharp differences or worse. There are good lessons to be learned from whence Freemasonry emerged, and it having had a profound effect on the future of worldwide governments. From its organizational origins, which publicly arose after the very bloody and horrific English Civil War of 1642 to 1651, matched with other European wars, the learned framers of our craft and ritual introduced a language we take for granted: brotherhood, friendship, brotherly affection, and unity, intentionally superseding adversarial positions that even they held. These civil wars shocked both sides, as all violent wars do. Neglectful, totalitarian, or dictatorial powers will always lead to corruption, hubris, and abuse, thus eventually being the cause of all political and civil strife, and can ultimately, tragically, cost human life. This does not mean, however, that we cannot and should not ever talk about political issues. Intelligent, wise, and experienced men should be free to express ideas or insights to their brothers, who should be willing to listen, but with a caveat. I have known brothers who expressed regrettable comments unbecoming a Freemason, on both sides of the political divide, not from our lodge. The truth should be revealed. Entrenched dogma can be problematic, but so can emotional or speculative idealism. It is during open lodge where the prohibition is in effect, so feel free to speak, yet the question remains, are we even capable of having serious and reasonable dialogue about serious issues amongst ourselves whenever the occasion arises? Truth is a painful antiseptic to any idealism and provides a motive to evolve toward higher realizations. John McCarger, Hiram Award, 32nd degree, and Master, 2023. And the next article is from our junior warden at the time, Politics and Freemasonry. In the modern era, Freemasonry precedes democracy, where the grassroots are empowered to be governed and hold more power than the rule makers. Brotherhood principles are adhered to while creating a constitution that grants a preamble to run affairs of the Union that generates popular tranquility along with prevalent justice. Like the sun, the system collects taxes in lieu, higher from the rich and lower from the poor. The overall objective is to keep the populace prospering and rich. American politics is such a system that is based on the principles of Freemasonry. Even before American independence, the world couldn't be ignorant of Masonry. The Noah's Ark, however wooden, was built on geometry, hence the systems of the Western world have had glimpses as laid in the fundamental principles of their making and safekeeping. I am not a fake, I am a Freemason. A system built on brotherly love and relief certainly unites the world on unifying Masonic principles that affect men hailing from every country, sect, and opinion. This is a global phenomenon to relieve distressed minds while linked by sincere affection. Restoration of peace to the troubled minds is the ultimate rule of governance as explained by Freemasonry to form friendships and establish connections. By the Masonic principles of justice, it is up to mankind to ensure just dues without distinction. This only makes Freemasonry divine and humane at the same time. Civil society is the ultimate gift of Freemasonry to the modern world. Democracy is an outcome where the lowest common denominator participates to form a republic. Shivam Sharma, Hiram Award winner, Senior Warden, 2023. And next up is the editor's notes, also on Freemasonry and politics, and yours truly is the editor. I don't like your political opinions. There, I said it. But I respect you as a person. I wholeheartedly believe that you have a right to those opinions. I think a healthy discussion about those differences helps to dig deeper into the issue and potentially find a way to come to a middle ground and possibly a solution. Unfortunately, most humans these days cannot handle themselves in this manner. In fact, this has been an issue for many, many years. Back in our past, Freemasonry and politics were intertwined. Look at how many of our early presidents were Freemasons. But until we can again learn to be civil in our interactions, we may never be able to see this relationship again. Why? I can't pretend that I have the answer, but I have a thought, and these are my thoughts only and not the opinions of Solomon Staircase Masonic Lodge, the Grand Lodge of California, or any other Masonic body. My first thought is that the media has been playing us against each other for years, taking the worst of everything in politics and shining a spotlight on it. Are all politicians saints? No. We all know the answer to that. But how many people have had their names drawn through the mud and destroyed their careers, or at least been scarred by something that was later found out not to be true? But it goes deeper than that. How many times after someone has been found innocent of the charges have you heard something along the lines of, "It was rigged. I know they are guilty no matter what the courts found"? When did we become the all-knowing public that can judge a person without actually knowing all the facts? Because the media that we watch has told us something different. When did we lose our ability to think for ourselves? I don't have an answer. We can't blame the media because you can always change the channel or turn off the television. You can't blame the politicians because if you study history, politics has always been a nasty, nasty game. Do we blame the education system? Some say yes, some say no. Regardless of what is taught in school, each child still has parents that can discuss what was covered. So who do we blame? Well, why do we have to blame anyone? You're an adult, a capable, smart, hard-working adult. You have beliefs on which your values and actions are grounded. Look at your beliefs and think about where those come from. Your parents, your religion, your school. I challenge you to challenge your beliefs. Step back and ask why. Why do I think that? Why do I believe this? Why did I do that? See the quote below from Mahatma Gandhi and reflect on what your beliefs are. Those drive everything. Hi, Aaron Reddick, Hiram Award, Past Master, Editor. And the quote from Mahatma Gandhi is, "Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny." And we are going to close out this episode with a little bit of information on a book about Freemasonry and politics. So the book is called Living the Enlightenment, Freemasonry and Politics in 18th Century Europe. So it was written by Margaret C. Jacobs. ISBN number is 978-019-507-0514. Copyright December 26, 1991. Publisher is Oxford University Press. And a summary of the book is as follows. Long recognized as more than the writings of a dozen or so philosophies, the Enlightenment created a new secular culture populated by the literate and the affluent. Enamored of British institutions, continental Europeans turned to the imported Masonic lodges and found in them a new forum that was constitutionally constructed and logically egalitarian. Originating in the Middle Ages, when stonemasons joined together to preserve their professional secrets and to protect their wages, the English and Scottish lodges had by the 18th century discarded their guild origins and become an international phenomenon that gave men, and eventually some women, a place to vote, speak, discuss, and debate. Margaret Jacob argues that the hundreds of Masonic lodges founded in the 18th century Europe were among the most important enclaves in which modern civil society was formed. In France, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Britain, men and women Freemasons sought to create a moral and social order based upon reason and virtue, and dedicated to the principles of liberty and equality. A forum where philosophers met with men of commerce, government, and the professions, the Masonic Lodge created new forms of self-government in microcosm, complete with constitutions and laws, elections and representatives. This is the first comprehensive history of Enlightenment Freemasonry, from the roots of the Society's political philosophy and evolution in 17th century England and Scotland to the French Revolution. Based on never-before-used archival sources, it will appeal to anyone interested in the birth of modernity in Europe or in the cultural milieu of the European Enlightenment. And then just a little sample, here's what the table of contents has. Introduction, the European Enlightenment, the birth of modern civil society. The Public Becomes the Private, The English Revolution and the Origins of European Freemasonry, Temples of Virtue, Palaces of Splendor, British Masonic Visions, Cultural Encounters, Freemasonry on the Continent, Creating Constitutional Societies, Freemasonry, Women and the Paradox of the Enlightenment, Speaking the Language of the Enlightenment, Living the Enlightenment, Cosmopolitan Reformers and Amsterdam Brothers, Dissension and Reform in the New Civil Society, the Strasbourg Lodges of the late 18th century, Le Régime Ancien et Machiavélique, the Paris Grand Lodge and the Reform of National Government, Conclusion, the Enlightenment Redefined. All right, well, that ends our July 2023 Trestle Board based on Freemasonry and politics. Hope you enjoyed it. Stick around and we'll keep working through some of the past stuff, and then we'll kick it back into Mackey's Revised History of Freemasonry.
Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a comment. We enjoy hearing from our listeners. If you really like what you heard, share this podcast with your friends and lodge members. Visit us online at solomonstaircase.org.